All right, all right, all right, all right. How we doing? Hope you can see me and hear me okay. I've got my fans on underneath me because it is toasty up in this studio. So if you can hear them and they're annoying, maybe I'll turn them off. Let me know. So thank you so much for being here. Gaming for Generations, Part 2. Last time we talked about how my parents' biggest regret for when I was growing up was buying me an original Nintendo when I was like 6 years old. The NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, started that giant snowball that will not stop to this day. I've tried to quit gaming, cold turkey or otherwise, and then a new console arrives in my home. So I wouldn't say it's an addiction per se, but it is a persistent companion throughout my life. So yeah, thank you for being here. Please like the video, subscribe, and all that jazz. I love saying that. There'll be a new short tomorrow too, so look forward to that. But let's see here. I'm going to see if my chat comes up. Let's see. Chat. All right, if you're here, let me know who you are. Please and thank you. The chat's being weird. But last time we talked about pretty much Atari and the genesis of gaming, because it's, oh gosh, terrible. But we talked about Nintendo, we talked about Super Nintendo, we talked about Sega, we talked about Genesis, the arcades, we talked about some PC gaming and real-time strategy. We talked about Resident Evil 2 for the original PlayStation and how me and my buddy Susu Subaru were too scared to play it. And now, as an adult in 2024, I'm too scared to play the copy of Resident Evil 2 that I own now for the next-gen systems. Oh, Yellow's here. Heck yeah, Yellow. Thank you so much for being here. Missed you last time. What is your current favorite video game, if you have one, Yellow? Let me know in the comments while I ramble on. So, yeah, been gaming since I was 6 years old, and now that I'm 20, I'm still playing. Oh, snap, Jordan's here too. Thanks for being here, my dude. Appreciate you. So, the Nintendo, the NES, the Super Nintendo, the Super NES, the SNES. Thank you, British. Sega Genesis, we got up to PlayStation 1, where I was doing some computer gaming at the time with like Star Wars Jedi Knight and, or was it Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight and Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast, which were, oh, so overplayed, but chef's kiss. So amazing playing as Kyle Katarn, I believe it was, and wielding the different force powers. It was great. I think you can still get it on Switch and some other places. I don't know how it holds up, but at the time, I remember, man, if Susu Subaru were here, I had my Voodoo Labs graphics card at the time, and then I got another one, and then they were paired up, and it was SLI Scanline Interleave or something for more than double the power with their powers combined. Oh, nice. Jedi Knight, Jordan, heck yeah, for show. And Minecraft, very nice, super popular. They really are. They really are, Yellow. Super Mario Odyssey, that's legit. I'm embarrassed to say I have not played Super Mario Odyssey. I do have a Switch, so that'll come up later. Those really are. Thank you both for being here. So after the PlayStation 1, I talked about how I freaking love Dino Crisis, and they need to do a remake of Dino Crisis because I'm a giant dinosaur nerd. And, you know, this is a side note, but my wife questioned me for wearing a shirt that wasn't video game related. And I said, haha, it is game related. I worked at a lame stop back in the day, actually several lame stops, regrettably. And I got this shirt for free, you know, for my slave labor there at the store. It's for Skate, the video game, the successors to Tony Hawk, the more realistic one. So I would get up and turn around and show you the Skate logo, but This chair is relatively comfortable. So, if you heard that like farting pig sound, that was on my watch. So apologies. That was my group chat with my mom and sister. There it is again. I hope you heard it. Dude, all right, I'm lowering my watch. Dino Crisis. Man, the puzzles were cool. Like, Skate 2 and 3. That's a great question, Yellow. Tony Hawk's. I know there were at least 3, and they redid Tony Hawk 1 and 2. They re-released them on the newer consoles. I want to say 3. You guys should look that up while I blabber on. But they need to do a new Dino Crisis. Come on. They keep remaking the Resident Evils. Come on. Yeah, let's do this. Dino Crisis. He really, yeah. Yeah, Yellow. His own franchise, for sure. Must be nice. The guy did pretty well for himself. And then, I don't know if you recall, there was Shaun White snowboarding. You know, what is it? You're like an Olympic athlete, and then all of a sudden, they make a video game out of you? I guess I'm a little jealous. I ain't good at nothing. So, after PlayStation, I switched gears. I don't remember what the deciding factor was. Actually, I can probably figure it out in a sec. I got a GameCube. And it's a side note, but of all the consoles I've owned, except for, spoiler alert, an Xbox 360 that died on me, a red ring of death or equivalent, I had a GameCube die on me. I was stunned. Like, I've never had, other than the normal stuff in Nintendo being weird, never had a system go bad, especially by Nintendo. I had a GameCube. I think it was an original purple one, hopefully a black one, but I ended up buying another one because that's how I roll. And I got a silver, the Platinum GameCube, and they had their Wavebird wireless controllers. Oof, so good, so good. Oh snap, Scott's here. Okay, 1 through 5 and a crap ton of spin-offs. Thank you for that. Holy cow. Yeah, nice, Jordan. Yeah, they had a silver. It was platinum. It wasn't just like a flat matte gray. It was a platinum silver. I had a gray original Wavebird, and I had a platinum Wavebird, and I had 2 other controllers. I think a silver that came with the system, and then a black controller maybe from the first system. So I had 4 controllers, which was great for time splitters and all kinds of other games. But I think I mentioned this in the previous live stream. Maybe I didn't. Silver GameCube was so good. But when I was younger, now that I'm just flush with cash, no. When I was younger, you didn't have any money, so I would sell the system I had and the games and accessories and just keep selling and then getting the new system, and just so I never had anything. And man, if I could go back in time and just keep all that stuff I bought, not only would it be worth a lot and awesome to have in the library and keep playing, but for all those games that don't exist or you can't get, or just, yeah, it's sad because then you go back to buy them and you go to like a exchange or video game exchange or a Lame Stop or eBay or whatever, and you're like, oh, $80 for that game I spent $40 on 20 years ago. So this is my PSA. Don't sell your games, controllers, systems. Keep them unless they're hot garbage, or you can trade it and sell it quick and get your money back. But whatever, Jordan. Okay, all right. So arcade games, Yellow. I touched on that a bit. I talked about how Mortal Kombat 2 in the arcades, they had like Aladdin's Palace or something like that. Aladdin's, back at malls back in the day when there were shopping malls and stuff, they had the little nook corner rooms that were arcades, and Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat 2, and they'd still have like skee ball and stuff like that, and basketball hoops and stuff, but it was essentially a miniaturized Dave and Buster's, just for sweaty, smelly 10-year-olds and stuff. So but being in there with the arcade cabinets to play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4-player with the joysticks and everyone in on it, and the X-Men arcade game that was life-altering, and the Simpsons arcade game, which was incredible. If I recall, I'm probably making this up, the X-Men arcade game, I think they had a cabinet with 6 players, which is legit. Aladdin's Castle. What did I say? Aladdin's Encampment. Thank you. Die Hard Arcade. Yeah, there you go. There it is. So, Aladdin's Castle. And we were talking about, too, that the games were tough as nails, and you would spend, $60 in quarters and still barely beat the game, maybe. So, Galaga. Yeah, Snake and Tetris, classics, legit. So, but yeah, Aladdin's Castle was great, and I spent a ton of time and money in those. And I just remember when I was a kid, I lived in Pittsburgh, and we went to the Ground Round, was a restaurant. We went to it a lot, and I remember pretty vividly they had, a claw grabber machine for toys and whatnot, and right beside it was the X-Men arcade game, and it was just, I think they had the Turtles game there at one point. So friggin' good. By the way, I don't think you can acquire the Turtles arcade game anymore. I've tried to buy it numerous times. I don't know if the license expired. I do own the X-Men arcade game that takes half an hour to beat, and the Simpsons arcade game, but man, I would kill for that. I guess I could get the Cowabunga collection, so shame on me. Let's see. 6-player cab, yes. Thank you. Okay, fair enough. Yes. Thanks, Steph. Thanks for being here. The claw games are kind of the devil. Some people seem to be really good at it. Steph, do you remember Aladdin's Castle, the arcades at Parmatown Mall and stuff? We'll see if there's a lag. So that was the arcade talk, Yellow. It was a magical time, hoarding disgusting quarters and spending way too much money. And it's kind of like going to Dave & Buster's stuff now. You have your card to scan, but you play like Time Crisis with the guns, which I friggin' love those light con games. They're just, I actually have like the PlayStation Move for the PS3, and it's pretty cool, but it's not the same as like stepping on that silver plate to jump out of cover and just blast and feel the recoil on the plastic guns. Make it like halfway through a level of that and then have to continue. Yeah, it's so good. And Big Buck Hunter. Oh my gosh. I wreck at that game. So let's see what we got. Steph remembers. Nice. And Ground Round. Yeah, absolutely. Dude. What? EIC of Game Informer could beat Dragon's Lair backward without looking? That's insane. Arcade remake. Nice. I'm going to have to look at that. I hope it's good, because that game was just perfect, pure gold. Speaking of, shout out to, what is it, Shredder's Revenge. It was like a fan developer, I guess, made it, and it is as good or maybe better than the stuff that preceded it. It is just a love letter to that genre of beat 'em up. I've heard Streets of Rage 4 is amazing too. Speaking of, I haven't had a chance to play it, but don't get old, folks. That's the answer. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know how old you are, Yellow, but it was interesting. But the good news is you can go. Your face is pure gold. Stop lying, Steph. That's good. It's only pure gold because we look alike, unfortunately. But thank you. It's awesome. Can you guys hear the fans under me? Hopefully not. Oh my gosh. Streets of Rage 4 is good. Yeah, I gotta check it out. So here we are. I mentioned GameCube. Nice. Yellow. Yeah. You got to find those games. We'll have to talk. Hit me up in the comments, Yellow. We'll talk. So the GameCube, I don't remember initially what actually sold me on it, but Metroid Prime, oh my gosh. That game, amazing. Whatever, Jordan, emulators. That's true. That's true. Yeah, emulators are are fantastic. Yellow, like a Raspberry Pi or something, and play that old stuff. Kids today, I don't know how old you are, Yellow, you don't have to tell me, but they don't appreciate the garbage graphics we had to handle and deal with. So Metroid Prime, though, like I had played the original Metroid on Nintendo, and I don't think I ever got anywhere because if I recall, there was not a map anywhere. The concept was super cool. And I mean, you're just this bounty hunter, intergalactic bounty hunter, space bounty hunter, and it's just awesome. Run around blasting stuff and getting power ups. And the more, I mean, people know at this point, a lot of us, the whole genre of sorts, Metroidvanias, where you get more powerful as you go, you get bigger, better, badder weapons and tools, and you can explore more and more areas until at the end of the game you can go anywhere, do anything you want. I never got through Metroid. That game was atrociously hard because I don't think there was a map. Never got anywhere. But I don't know if I didn't mention it during Super Nintendo. Oh my gosh, I didn't. I should just hit end stream right now. That is ridiculous. Super Metroid is one of the best games ever made. Ever made. One of the original Metroidvanias, but Vania being Castlevanias, which are great too. I should mention that during the PS3 time. Anyway, so excited. Where do I go? Where did I go? GameCube, Super Metroid, 2D, just absolutely perfect game. Screw attack, the missiles, the super missiles, the morph ball, and then to play Metroid Prime, the 3D version on GameCube, but then becomes 2D when you go into the morph ball, is just incredible. The adventure of it, the weapons, the graphics, the sound, the soundtrack. I mentioned it before. I'm going to do a whole separate live stream just on the music and sound effects in video games because they're phenomenal. And I think my buddy Tim last time mentioned that the soundtracks in video games are often way better than motion pictures. I think I would agree. So let's see what we got going here. 16-bit, great graphics, great art. Absolutely. Because we talked about Donkey Kong Country and like Super Metroid, and that stuff holds up. Like I went back and played Super Metroid, and my wife cheered me on and helped me with navigating the map, which the map was beautiful. I've beaten Super Metroid at least a few times, and it's so good. It looks so good. The gameplay's tight. Let's see. Yellow's seen the Doom videos. Yeah. Some of the original, like look up Wolfenstein 3D, the original Yellow, and like the original Dooms, and they're just. I'll tell you what. Shame on me for not mentioning that too. That was the computer game back in the day. Wolfenstein 3D, so good. Shooting zombies, shooting Nazis. Yeah, zombies, Nazis. Attack dogs. That game, the first-person shooter. First good one, anyway. I don't know. So good. Let's see. Did you scan a lot of stuff? Yes, I did. I scanned a ton in Metroid Prime. Probably too much. Probably screwed up my pacing a bit. But Steph, Donkey Kong. Well, the original Donkey Kongs and the original Mario Brothers, not Super, were on the original Nintendo. But Donkey Kong Country that we would play with Amanda and Katie, our cousins, that was on Super Nintendo. So, and I love that it was Super Nintendo. So they're like Super Metroid, Mario Kart, Super Mario Kart, Punch Out, Super Punch Out. It was easy. It works. N64 Yellow. That was, I mean, it was 3D, but it was kind of like the PlayStation 1 where like it was awesome for the time and the 3D elements of it, but there's weren't enough polygons for the characters, so it just looks, I don't know, like everyone looks like origami. Like I think I mentioned in the last live stream, I forget what it's called, live stream, um, that Metal Gear Solid on the PS1 was incredible, but going back is painful because, man, like Solid Snake, his head is just like a diamond with two slits for eyes. Just, it's brutal. It's brutal. Allegedly, they're going to do a remake, and that would be phenomenal. I did play the remake they did on GameCube. GameCube coming back for Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes, and that was fantastic. Highly recommended. Let's see. Yeah, it depends on which Donkey Kong. That's right, Yellow. Thank you. Yes, valid, Scott. Donkey Kong, the original arcade, for sure. And, yep, and SNES. And and the Mario movie. I'm going to throw out a hot take, and I apologize for anyone it offends. I really didn't care for the Mario movie. I really wanted to, and I thought it was just kind of a collection of set pieces and a slow intro, and there it is. I'm sorry. I'm sad, but meh. And my godson, who's like 10, is obsessed with it. I'm like, yeah, it's a movie. Yeah. So yeah, Wolfenstein. Steph knows what's up. And Quake. That's right, Jordan. You're like a generation later. Oregon Trail. Yep. Yep. That's right. Angela says Super Metroid. It's true. She's my greatest fan. And depending on where we get tonight, it's probably going to spill over into a third. But I'll talk more about Angela in gaming. My darling and lovely wife. But if I didn't say it earlier, we're going to go 8 to 9 today. So if I abruptly just jet, I'm trying to be respectful of the time allotment and for everyone else. And I'm old and have to go to bed. I probably won't. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Jordan, so Yellow, yeah. I'm sorry, Yellow. I'm sorry. Don't hate me. Don't hate me. Ooh, yeah, sorry, Blood Heretic. Duke Nukem, yeah. You guys remember Duke Nukem Forever? The one that took forever to come out. It took like 20 years and then was a giant steaming turd. Oh my gosh. Don't leave, Yellow. Yeah, Jordan, this is my, I think I mentioned the other one. Zelda. I've never played through a Zelda game. I've seen and played a lot from the original Zelda, but I don't know what it was. I never owned an N64. I had the GameCube. I didn't get a Wii till really late. Never got a Wii U because that also was a turd. Yeah. Doom, but without demons. Nice. Minesweeper. Nice, Steph. I remember just smashing all those blocks. If you haven't seen that, Yellow, or even you, Jordan, look up Minesweeper. I remember when I was a kid, I would just like bash all the blocks, and then like someone showed me once what it's all about, how to play. I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. You're essentially planting flags around bomb squares to label them as bombs so that you don't click on the bomb. So you're clicking on squares and clearing areas. Yeah, that's true, Yellow. There you go, Jordan. But yeah, Duke Nukem, yeah, is the most ridiculous character. We could do a whole friggin' stream just on video game, console. I don't know. Headers. I'm tired. Don't blame me. Our Crash Bandicoots, our Master Chiefs, or stuff like that. Is it Chiefs? Is it, if it's plural, is it Chiefs? Master Chiefs? Nice. So, yeah, GameCube. So anyway, GameCube, Metroid Prime was just amazing and phenomenal. And I played the sequel as well, Echoes, which I really, really loved. But the first one is better. And spoiler alert for the future, I have and have played some of Metroid Prime Remastered on the Switch. So, Master Jeeves. Chiefs? The Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs. You know, the Leafs. The game that for GameCube that was friggin' phenomenal. Well, there's an obvious one, but this is it was kind of a sleeper hit. Ask Chiefs. Nice. It's going to be my new band name. Maybe I'll just drop my name and just be Ask Chiefs. Eternal Darkness. I think Scott knows this one. But Eternal Darkness for the GameCube was like finally a game. I'm getting to the game that everyone's thinking of. Don't worry. But Eternal Darkness was this psychological thriller, like survival horror in the vein of like a Resident Evil, but had all these mystical magic, qualities, and you could play it 3 different times. Like you picked, I don't know, it had these weird names. It was like Chaturga and Ulyath and something else. You could play like the blue path, the green, or the red. And then if you beat the game all 3 different routes, you'd get a mega ending. So you'd have 3 different endings and then a 4th mega ending. Yes, I got all 4. Mantarok, I think that was the purple one. But it was creepy, and like there were things that you would, what the heck was it called? It was like the freak out meter or something. And like you would see skeletons walking stuff, and your character would freak out, and like you would start hallucinating. Sanity meter. Thank you, Scott. Dude, Scott had the glyphs memorized. I started playing that on my computer with an emulator and showed my wife a little bit and need to get back to it. Thank you, Jordan. Yeah, Scott and Jordan. Frickin' A. Sanity meter, you would just be seeing these monsters, and then you would just start hallucinating, or like your own arm would fall off, or I think there was one where you're like holding your own head. You're walking around, spoiler alert, you're walking around in this house like mansion, Resident Evil, and you open the curtain in like a bathroom, there's like your body is like drowning in a pool of blood in a bathtub, and you just see yourself there. Like super crazy and creepy, but like the story starts like way back in the past, hundreds of years ago, centuries back, and just progresses to the present. And it's just super well done, incredible story. The gameplay is awesome. That sanity meter functionality, the insanity meter is so cool. I think it was like if you went the blue path, it was slightly easier, but if you pick the red path, it was the hardest one, something like that. Yeah, time travel for sure. The time travel, you just progress in the future. You play as all kinds of different characters when you're in these different time zones, but then you go back to playing as the main protagonist, Alex Roivos, maybe. So Scott says, character randomly get dismembered by nothing. Yep, the game muting itself and the game flashing at you finish the demo screen. Yeah, like the game is brilliant and should have made so much more money. Return of the King, I did play that game. And after slogging through with a buddy many years ago, I vowed to never play it again, even though I played tons, and I still own it and I'll probably play it again. I'll be honest. That game, hack and slash Lord of the Rings, playing as Gandalf and Gimli, Aragorn, Legolas, the whole band, totally friggin' awesome. That game is awesome, but it's kind of like when I beat Super Mario 3 with a buddy for the 80th time, and I was just like, never again. I'm going to play it again. So, yes, you could unlock Faramir, but he played just like Boromir, so I feel like it was kind of like, but you could. A little known game, you guys may or may not have heard of this one, came out on the GameCube first. It's called Resident Evil 4. I could use the rest of the time on this and Eternal Darkness alone. I had never played a Resident Evil game. I've mentioned a few times that Susu Subaru and I were too scared to play Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 4 came out, and it was just too friggin' good. It was creepy, but you felt like you could kind of fight back because it was more action focused. So it was kind of like action horror instead of just survival horror. So they weren't like, here, you get one match and you have an entire mansion to get through. And that's Resident Evil. Resident Evil 4, you had guns. You had pistols, you had later machine guns, and I think like a dumb Tommy gun and rocket launchers, but it was so creepy in the Las Plagas. Like, but it was creepy, but I had to keep playing. Like, that game was pretty beefy. I feel like it was a pretty long game, and I was just so impressed with the over-the-shoulder camera, the graphics, the gameplay. Like, I would get creeped out. I had to keep going. Like, it was just so good. And later, you know, kind of a successor leaning on Resident Evil 4 and its success, Dead Space, kind of the same scenario where I played the original Dead Space and I soiled many a pantaloons playing Dead Space. I'll tell you what. But like Resident Evil 4 before it was just so good and the gameplay was so tight that I had to keep going. So I'm a big scaredy cat. I almost said scare baby. I'm a big baby, a scaredy cat. But those two. But Resident Evil 4 turned me on the game. I have since, I've yet to play the remake, and I would really like to at some point. Really would like to. But since then, I have played, this is kind of jumping ahead again, but I played Resident Evil 5 to death with a buddy. Playing with Chavez, an AI companion, I've heard it's kind of hot garbage, but I played through the game 3 times with a buddy. Normal, hard mode, expert mode, whatever. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It's not traditional Resident Evil, but it's like Mercenaries. It was a lot of fun. And I played 6 too, unfortunately. 6 was kind of a mess. I feel like the controls were a little wonky at times, but Resident Evil 4, friggin' gem. Resident Evil 5, really enjoyed. 7, I didn't play because, again, I can only wash so many pairs of pantaloons. So I'm one of the chiefs of washing pantaloons. Resident Evil 4. So I feel like those were like Metroid Prime 1 and 2, Resident Evil 4, Eternal Darkness. Like for a system that, you know, traditionally Nintendos are catered less to, I don't know, adults or, you know, the mainstream that way. They had some bangers. Yeah, those games really slapped. But they were great. So I really need to play Eternal Darkness now again. So good. Yep. Yep. I'm a scare baby. There it is. Yes. Scare baby. Dead Space. 10 out of 10. I should probably start up and then, you know, instead of starting from the bottom. Let's see. Faramir. No. 2 months ago. Nice, Jordan. I didn't realize you had a PlayStation again. I know you sold yours to Nick, but yeah, I really need to play it. I've heard that the remake is so good, and I think I could do it. I've heard it's a lot scarier and more atmospheric and just darker than the original, but I'll just stock up on some Depends, see what happens. Scare baby. Scare baby. Ooh, James Bond games. I did play Nightfire, I want to say a little bit, which was pretty cool. Oh, you have a Series S right now. Okay, very nice. But yeah, I mean, GoldenEye on the N64 was the one, the golden gun. But yeah, so I got stuck on like GameCube and arcade stuff. That's okay. So after the GameCube, I was not going to buy. Well, let me take this back. I'm going to start this again. I mentioned when I was in college that a buddy and I played Mega Man 2. We were playing it so long, we were afraid that if we paused the game and left, that it would shut off or someone would kick the console and turn it off or we'd lose power. So we ended up skipping classes that day and played all the way through Mega Man 2. Well, another roommate, my sophomore year in college, so you can do the math with these and figure out how old I am if you feel like it. Sophomore year, got a PS2, the fat PS2, the original PS2. And he got a game, I think it was 2001 that it came out, Devil May Cry. There it is again. Chef's kiss. Devil May Cry. What some people may know is that Devil May Cry was the beginning. It started out as Resident Evil 4, and it became more action focused, and they actually ended up spinning it off to be its own thing. So it became its own deal, and it's this gothic action adventure hack and slash um, with a cast of characters that are just totally outrageous and amazing. Dante in Devil May Cry is just fantastic, just a smart ass, total badass, and he's half demon, half human, and he is anti-demon, and you just shred through all kinds of demons throughout the entire game. Massive boss battles. The camera's a little wonky going back, but that game, I played the snot out of it. I'm picturing playing MLB Slugfest too with some of my roommates, but Devil May Cry was just stylish and just it seemed like you could be a button masher, and you could to an extent on easy levels, but being a Capcom game, that game is tough as nails, and there was so much to it. You could just combos out the yang. The limits to what you could do were seemingly endless, especially in the sequels. Not Devil May Cry 2, that was a turd. Devil May Cry 3, which was a prequel. You could do combos with guns. You had swords, you have guns, so you would smash someone up in the air with your sword, slash them up, shoot them in the air with ebony and ivory, your pistols, jump in the air, slash them down again, smash them on the ground, and then bash them again, and just have these outrageous, 50 hit combos, 20 hit combos, 100 hit combos, and you would actually get ranked for how stylish your playing was. So if you just smash the same button over and over again, you wouldn't get that high of a score. But when you were doing really well and just chaining all kinds of combos using different weapons, different guns, different swords in combination, you get higher ranks. So like an S rank or SS, SSS, get more points and stuff for items and stuff later. So that game was incredible. PS2 also had games like Susu Subaru will know, like Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal. They made a show out of it, I think, on Amazon or Paramount. I didn't get anywhere into it, but it was car vehicular combat. So you had these decked out, massive, tank cars. You could have just like a Mustang, with turrets on the top, rocket launchers, and then the baddie of the game, the boss battle, Sweet Tooth with his ice cream truck, this big burly dude, this creepy face, and ice cream truck from hell essentially. But it was vehicular combat. It's fantastic. I guess they've talked about bringing that back too as a remake, and that could be pretty cool. But I'm going to switch and see what people say here. I is scare baby. 2 third-person James Bonds. Yep. Rush with Love, Everything or Nothing. Nice. Chris. Yeah, yellow. Devil May Cry. Oh my gosh. And Devil May Cry 3 is just like pinnacle. So friggin' good. So, do I secretly own a red trench coat and wear it when my wife isn't around? I can't tell you. She's on the stream. I wish. Mad Max, yellow. I never played Mad Max, but that one apparently was a sleeper hit too. I guess not tons of people bought it, but it's actually an incredible open world game. So there you go. So for PS2, I had the GameCube. I'm trying to think of, the timing is all whack, but I didn't own a PS2 at the time. I ended up getting a PS2 later. Oh yeah, Vigilante 8. Yes. Yep. I got a PS2 later because Scott knows him very well. Our buddy Filt from the band I was in eons ago with Scott and Phil, Talal Vitas, just insisted, forced the game God of War down my throat. And this could easily go to the end of our time. God of War, if you don't know about it, is a hack and slash action game, action adventure, some puzzles, 3D environments. I love Greek mythology. It's set in in Greek mythology, mythological times, whatever. That's the setting. And my buddy brought it over, essentially showed me like all the boss fights and like everything about it. So that was a bit of a spoiler alert when it was like spoiled everything. But what's stupid about this is that the God of War series is now one of my top favorite, I don't know, sagas, collections of games by far. But I was really opposed to it when it came out and when Phil was showing me, because it looked to me like a Devil May Cry ripoff. And I was like, what is this? This is just, it's like Devil May Cry light. It didn't look as sophisticated, and where Devil May Cry had just chapters and points and felt very arcadey. God of War was more overreaching, just a big story. There's no chapters. It's just, but it's dumb because I've always loved Greek mythology. I like killing stuff and third-person action adventure games. Should have been a shoe-in, but I was ignorant to an extent, but I was really, really upset. And people still sometimes call those original God of Wars like kind of poor man's Devil May Cry, because the Devil May Cry games are so intense and difficult, and you can do so much in those games with all the weapons and combos. In God of War, you could spam a little more, and it's requires less finesse. So I will give it that. But I still love the crap out of the God of War games, and I've played through those probably more than any others. But Devil May Cry 1, 3, fantastic on PS2. God of War, oh my gosh. God of War, and then God of War 2 toward the end of the PS2, like the swan song. Whew. God of War 2 is still my favorite of the original type God of War games before they did the kind of soft reboot stuff in 2018, which that'll come too. But God of War 2, just the way it started and just the new abilities, and you can not repel. Wow. I probably should have gotten some sleep last night before talking about this. But the new abilities in God of War 2, and just like the Icarus wings in there were more boss fights. It was bigger and badder. It was just the quality of life improvements. Like, I hate to say this, but there were 2 PSP games that actually bought a PSP 4 for God of War, actually. So handhelds, geez, that's a whole other thing too. But out of the 2 PSP God of War games and and then the 4 mainline God of War games on PS2, PS3, God of War 2, still my favorite. I love God of War 3 too, and obviously as the kind of trilogy closer is fantastic, but 2 is a longer game, and just the puzzles and boss fights, it's just amazing. Yeah, so Twisted Metal, and need I forget, Metal Gear Solid on the original PlayStation, Metal Gear Solid 2 on the PS2. But man, was that game divisive when you think you're going to play as Snake the whole time, and spoilers, you end up playing as friggin' Raiden, not for Mortal Kombat, the majority of the time, but that game was a gem too. But yeah, freaking God of War and Devil May Cry, like, I was thinking about this, maybe across all genres, or console generations, I should say, like God of War and Devil May Cry, like, stand the test of time of 2 of my favorite, games and ever, probably. So I'm going to check the chat, see where we at. Let's see. No, isn't that sad, Jordan? So Phil from the band was obsessed with God of War and Metal Gear Solid. Like, I'm surprised he wasn't Solid Snake for Halloween like 4 years in a row. I never played the third. Yeah, now he's busy farting into microphones in Vancouver. I really hope he has a podcast or something, Scott. If you know that, you have to let me know. Diet may cry. There you go. Yeah, I can see that, Scott. That's fair. And to be honest, like I've I've played through all of the God of Wars on hard mode, and essentially the only way that I found to do it, or like in the first God of War, there's a trophy that you have to beat the game in 4 hours. So like I'm just spamming the same combo and like rolling to my next destination. And in that game, you're using the right stick to roll. So I'm just like roll. Like it wasn't fun, but I did it. But I wanted to say too that this still boggles my mind. But I think of all the God of War games, my least favorite might, I guess, of the main games. I don't know if the PSP counts, but my least favorite is the original. I just feel like they really improved on it in the sequel and in the third, and just we needed the first, obviously. Too much platforming, climbing, spinning pillars with blades on them, trying to get out of Hades for just hundreds of feet over and over again, and falling to your death or falling to the bottom and starting over again. Oh, so fun. And then getting the trophy for not hitting any of the spikes at all or having to restart the game entirely. Oh, man, that's what dreams are made of. Speaking of that, trophies came into play later, but I'll talk on that later. But essentially, I have the platinum trophy for every God of War game that I've played because I'm a nerd like that. And that's how much I like them. I've not gotten through Ragnarok yet, and I hate my life, but those games are so much fun. But back to the comparison, it's true. Devil May Cry is, I can see that, more broad action, God of War, straight hack and slash. The new ones, change it up a decent bit. In fact, quite a bit. Hey, Subaru's here. Snake. Yeah, I love it. Dun 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 dun. Subaru. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks for being here. I mentioned you a few times, and now I can't remember what I was talking about. Yeah, Jordan, MGS3, for sure, for sure. So, what the frick? Yeah, I can't remember. My mind's going to crap. I'm old. But yeah, the God of War games, like the PS2 is still, I think, the most sold system ever. I think the Switch has come dangerously close, but the PS2 just friggin' wrecked. And there are so many other games, like I mentioned Final Fantasy VII before, but like Final Fantasy X on PS2. Um, no, Dragon Ball Z was after my time, Jordan. It was, like, I don't know what it is. Like, I never got into Power Rangers or uh, Pokemon or Dragon Ball Z, or like I missed that area, or that era of time. That's what it was. We were talking about a little more arcade stuff and Twisted Metal, freaking Twisted Metal Black, PS2. So good, so good. So, how about this? We'll close out this generation of consoles with the what's that one called? The Microsoft, the Xbox. What was their big game? Something angelic. Someone help me here. Xborg. Yeah. Friggin' Xbox. Halo. Kabuki Warriors. That original controller, the Duke as they call it, for the Xbox, I don't know who could use that other than Andre the Giant. Like, it was insane. I mean, that controller was like way bigger than my head. I feel like it's one of those, like when I tell the stories of the spider that crawled on my knee when I was a kid and it freaked me the heck out. Every time I tell the story, the spider's bigger. Like, the spider was obviously like, the size of a record easily. That controller was, the size of a tube TV, Enter the Matrix. Very nice. Halo, duh. 4-player split screen. I remember playing with a good buddy in high school. We would go play ping pong Why would I say it like that? Ping pong. We played ping pong, table tennis if you're really advanced in his basement, and you can play off the walls, and it was totally awesome. But that's where we would play N64 and GoldenEye, and then later we played a ton of 4-player split screen Halo on a tube TV that was probably like a 25-inch. So for all of you who don't know tube TVs, it was a CRT, cathode ray tube TV. They weighed a crap ton, and they weren't that big. So 4 of us, sweaty, pimply, dumb high schoolers playing playing Halo. And no offense to anyone then, we were dumb. So, but we played tons of ping pong and tons of Halo, and that was the game that was like network gaming and bringing the online gaming to the forefront for consoles. PC gamers, the master race, you got to bow down. They're way ahead of the curve. So, I almost said way ahead of the curb. Ask Cheeves about the curb. Yeah, so Susu Subaru, my new band name, I think we said was going to be Ask Cheeves, because I was trying to say Master Chief, but then the plural of chief is Cheeves, obviously. I said I was a dumb kid, so Ask Cheeves. It's a new band name. Star Wars Battlefront. Yes, I did, and it was solid, and a friend gave that to me. And Steph, you're right. That spider, it's amazing I like Spider-Man at all. The spider was, what is it, at least the size of a bowling ball. Like a bowling ball would roll away from that spider. Insane. Yep, there it is. Ask Cheeves with their hit single, Scare Baby. Yes. Absolutely. So I mentioned this before, but like, if I could go back in time and save all those games, even just for a spin, down memory lane, Susu Subaru I've talked to and just said, this is fun just to reminisce, and wow, it's past my bedtime. To reminisce and talk about, playing Ridge Racer and Virtua Fighter and Tekken and all that stuff, listening to the, like we said, Van Halen 3. But all these games, they've got to be worth a lot, but not even that. I just wish I had them for future generations, and just, if I feel like playing Eternal Darkness and not trying to run an emulator or buying a whole GameCube again. So now I keep them. So if I didn't say so before, at least for where we have, I owned a GameCube. I owned a PS2 for a long time. At one point, I sold the PS2 toward the PS3. I've since acquired a silver, slim PS2, the one that's like friggin' tiny, like a wallet folded out. I had an Xbox for a hot minute, and if I'm not mistaken, this is a real kick in the junk that I got rid of it. I think I had, no, there's no way I would have gotten rid of it. Maybe. I said I'm dumb. Was it the see-through green one? I really hope not, because that's probably worth some money. But I had an Xbox for a hot minute, ended up trading it in toward a 360. But that era is going to come next time. So keep your stuff. That's my lesson. That's my PSA. Keep your stuff. Do not sell it. Could be worth a lot if you need to sell it, but I think I may have mentioned this last time, but I have an NES Classic that was really hard to acquire for a minute there, and a Super NES Classic, and those are a lot of fun. And I wish I could tell you with pinpoint accuracy when I last used them, but I cannot, because I play big boy games when I have time in my big boy life. It took me forever to friggin' get through Spider-Man 2, and anyone that knows me knows Spider-Man's kind of my dude, kind of my dude. So let's see. Did you ever Tekken or Soul Calibur or Soul Blade? Yes. I own Tekken 3 still to this day on the original PlayStation. And fun fact for people that don't know, the PS2 is backwards compatible with PS1. So I have a select number of PS1 games. Sled Storm, which I don't know why I have it. It's probably worth next to nothing or maybe negative money. It's a snowmobile racing game. I kept it, but I have Metal Gear Solid and Sledstorm, Dino Crisis, and Tekken 3. Tekken 3 is so good. And Yoshimitsu looks badass. I love Yoshimitsu, and he looks so good, like an alien. Soul Calibur, I had Soul Calibur 2 on the GameCube where Link was a playable character, and that was friggin' sweet. And then the Xbox version, which I now have, which I think I can play with backwards compatibility, had Spawn. Yeah, had Spawn. And then PlayStation got Heihachi from Tekken. We're like, oh, yeah, Soul Blade. Yes, Jordan Silver Slim. Yep, Tekken 3. Sledstorm, nice. So, yeah, that's the deal. Next time we're going to touch on the following generation, which is Xbox 360, PS3, all that stuff. Time capsule? Yeah, I dig it. So we're going to do another one of these next month. I was trying to catch up with two a little closer together. Do another one next month. We'll do, we might be able to get up to the current consoles, maybe. But, let me know in the comments or whatever. I think we could do just, a Master Chief and, Crash Bandicoot, Mario, Sonic special, or talk about them, the mascots, or the music's definitely going to happen. So, dude, yeah, I love it. Freaking Sledstorm. So that's where we are. I'm going to have a new short coming out tomorrow. I greatly, greatly appreciate you all being here. Like I said, we'll do another one of these next month. And yeah, more shorts to come. And you're all my heroes. Please like this Garbaggio, subscribe, send it to people. Love you all much. You're my heroes. Peace.